Did you know that the Lexus TX houses 20 inches to 22 inches wheels, while the Toyota Grand Highlander wears 18 inches to 20-inch alloy wheels? Let's go find out more that makes them dissimilar or similar. And welcome. You know, they say that the 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander is a jack of all trades and a master of some. So why won't Lexus lean in and enter into the three-row luxury crossover big business? After all, Lexus has been notably absent from this segment, hence the introduction of this all-new 2024 Lexus TX. So guys, if you are at this juncture where you are torn between the decision to choose between the Grand Highlander and the all-new Lexus TX, we got you covered, starting from the trims and models of each of them, technical dimensional differences on each of them, powertrain options and occupancy plus more. Let's get down to the business. And funny enough and interesting enough, I will begin with the wheels. Like I earlier asked, I will leave the aesthetic appeal to you, the individuals, to decide. But let me tackle the mechanicals like wheels, where the Lexus TX actually houses the 20 to 22 inch wheels, while the Toyota wears 18 to 20 inches alloy wheels from the base model to the top dog models, the fully loaded ones. The Lexus model will be offered in standard, premium, luxury, and F-Sport performance trims, guys, although the details are nearly non-existent. However, Lexus hinted a few options, including a heads-up display multicolored illumination and a 21-speaker Mark Levinson premium audio system that is going to be on it, contrasted by an 11-speaker JBL sound system found on the Grand Highlander. Toyota actually offers the Grand Highlander also in three grades, starting with the XLE, the Limited, and the Platinum. And note that the XLE is the base model, but typically Toyota will use the XLE as a higher level trim. So there is no stripped down Grand Highlander here, though. Some of the things that was hinted at is also heated steering wheel that you see in the footage. You've seen heated and ventilated front seats, a power lift gate. The second row passengers will not also be left in the back seat in terms of comfort, as they will find available climate controls and heated seats in that corner where they will find themselves. But at this point, let's delve down into the technicality of this vehicle, starting with the dimensions. Are there any differences in the size of this vehicle? Visually, they're about the same, but there is something that makes them a little bit different, and let me go to it. In terms of size, the TX measures 203.1 inches long, 78.3 inches wide, 70.1 inches tall, with a wheels base that span across 116.1 inches, guys. Now, for us to understand this properly, let's put these numbers into perspective. So the TX model here is 1.7 inches longer than the Grand Highlander, which comes in at 201.4 inches in length. The two vehicles share the same width, and the Grand Highlander is 2 inches taller than the TX. The wheelbase is the same, 116.1 inches here. Technically speaking, the TX is longer, but the Grand Highlander is taller. And so take a good look. These differences will affect occupancy space. That will be addressed soon. But let's go have a look at the cabins of these two similarly constructed SUVs. Yes, so that is the interior, and they look quite similar and dissimilar in some ways. Lexus interiors have actually adopted a simplistic visual appeal lately, and the TX that we are looking at is no exception, as it features an upscaled but largely utilitarian cabin. Much hasn't been said about it though, but the crossover, as you can see, comes with a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster and a standard 14-inch infotainment system. When you jump onto the Toyota Grand Highlander, you find yourself the same 12.3-inch infotainment system with rather a 7-inch digital instrument cluster here. So take note if you have concerns for your instrument cluster here. The Grand Highlander Platinum Hybrid Max is paired with a black interior, but the cabin feels cheap and underwhelming, as the only bits of visual interest are gloss black plastic bronze accents you see here. I need you to note that the Grand Highlander Platinum is more impressive, as it sports a two-tone design with foxwood trim and metallic accents, guys. So if you're looking at something luxurious to the levels of the Lexus, then the Highlander Platinum is the go. Now, when you talk about interior, you cannot forget about seating. So let me just touch on some of the seating differences here and similarities here. TX customers will find a split folding second row bench or available captain's chair as an option. The latter are separated by a removable mini console that has cup holders as well as a handful of storage compartments. On the Grand Highlander, things are a little tighter in the second row, but there is plenty of head and leg room, so don't be afraid. Customers can choose between a bench or two-row captain's seat, as the Lexus TX customers can also do. And the rear seats are a bit of a pain in the Toyota Grand Highlander here, but it sounds like Lexus might have done something improved about that. While that remains to be seen, the automaker mentioned that the Lexus TX will have a switch. On the Highlander, you enjoy 20.6 cubic feet of space. That's approximately 583 liters of space on the Grand Highlander. So technically speaking, the TX is smaller in terms of space in the trunk than that of the Grand Highlander, about 0.5 cubic feet. So that increases the TX when you are in the Grand Highlander. And when you fold the second row seats and the third row seats in both vehicles, this is how it stands. The TX has 97 cubic feet, which is 2,744 liters of luggage space when you put the third row and the second row down. On the Grand Highlander, when you do similar, you get 97.5 cubic feet, which is 2,761 liters. So you get about 0.5 cubic feet of space in the Grand Highlander than on the TX. Technically speaking, if you are very particular about space, the Grand Highlander has a little bit more space than the TX here. This is what I love so much about this whole presentation, which is the powertrain and the performance that are found on the TX and the Grand Highlander. So let's break it down here and see if there are any significant differences in terms of the powertrains and their outputs. So we've known about the Grand Highlander powertrains, and similarly, the Lexus TX will be offered with 3 different. This configuration retains a lower miles per gallon over the counterparts, the Grand Highlander. If you are not interested in the base engines for both the Lexus and the Grand Highlander, let's look at the more funky TX 500H F Sport performance. This particular engine is a hybrid. 500H has a dynamic rear steering system that can turn the rear wheels in the same or opposite direction as the front wheels. And this, we know what it does, helps the vehicle improve high-speed stability as well as low-speed maneuverability, such as when parking. And Lexus actually hasn't said much about it, but the model sounds like the Hybrid Max variant on the Grand Highlander with a lot of marketing absurdity, guys. So this particular TX 500H F Sport performance engine produces 366 horsepower and 409 pound-feet of torque, which is only 4 horsepower and 9 pound-feet of torque more than the Grand Highlander's Hybrid Max, which also features 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine with a 6-speed automatic transmission, a small battery, and a rear E-axle. Guys, we know that this rear E-axle gives a crossover a full-time all-wheel drive with front to rear power splits between 70 to 30 and 20 to 80. I want us to take note that the dynamic rear steering wheel is only present on the TX 500H F Sport and not on the Grand Highlander Hybrid Max setup. Besides, this Hybrid Max engine is capable of being rear biased. The Hybrid Max powertrain is notable for producing 362 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. These are some pretty impressive figures that we know, and they easily beat the 310 Chevrolet Traverse, the 291 horsepower Kia Telluride, and the 269 horsepower Volkswagen Atlas. It is also worth noting that the Hybrid Max is a mountain of torque, which is instantly available and allows for impressive off-the-line acceleration. So the Grand Highlander has a third power option, which is a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine, a small nickel metal hybrid battery, an electric motor, and an electronically controlled continuously variable transmission. This gives the crossover a combined output of 245 horsepower. But I have to contrast this with the third engine option on the Lexus TX, which is the final engine option here. And this is a plug-in hybrid TX 550H Plus, which is not offered on the Grand Highlander Prime. and no possibility of one in the future. And not much has been said about this particular variant, but all that we know is that it comes with a 3.5. So much if you really want to know a lot about the GX that came out, click on my left and click on my right if you want to look at the Toyota Land Cruiser.